Everybody and their dog was so excited about the Bitcoin ETF approval. Everybody thought the Bitcoin price will go to the moon. And what are we seeing? We're seeing the approval, but we don't see any price appreciation. What's going on? Let's have a look at how much money is flowing into the ETFs and what could potentially suppress all of this. Let's check out the table behind me. This is the in and outflows measured in millions into various Bitcoin spot ETF instruments. We see this by the day and by the instrument, and most money went into BlackRock's ETF, into the iShares ETF. Fidelity is second, ARK is third. Now the very last ticker symbol over here, GBTC, are actually not inflows. Those are outflows. So for example, here on day 6, we had a net inflow of 1.2. So overall, we had a net inflow of 6.4 billion. More money was flowing out of GBTC. Now what's happening here? Why is money flowing out of GBTC, out of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust? A lot of investors are taking profit from this trade here, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust discount. In February, roughly 1 year ago, you were able to buy a Bitcoin via the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust for a discount of 46%. That discount existed because you couldn't directly convert your Grayscale shares into native Bitcoin. This has now changed. With the approval of the ETFs, Grayscale also got the approval to convert to an ETF. So the discount is pretty much at zero now. It's only the transaction costs that cause this little bit of a remaining discount. On top of that, the fees, the annual management fees that Grayscale is taking is way higher than from all of the competitors. So there is an incentive to move your Bitcoin from Grayscale to the other ETFs if you want to keep exposure. Now let's have a look at some on-chain statistics. What are the long-term holders of Bitcoin doing? Are they selling as well, or are they continuing to accumulate? Because that's in the end what causes those cycles, right? The idea is that the diamond hands, they continue to dollar cost average a little bit into Bitcoin every single month. Thus, the price tends to increase. Then once the price hits new all-time highs or gets close to all-time highs, then all the media is promoting Bitcoin, right? Then it's a new all-time high. Everybody gets excited about it. There's a lot of exposure also on YouTube. A lot of new people enter the space, and that's then when the long-term holders sell to the short-term holders, and the short-term holders expect further appreciation, which might not happen, and then a little correction can simply just snowball into a real bear market. So knowing how much money is actually in long-term holders' hands versus short-term holders' hands is super, super important to time the cycles. Here's the problem with crypto YouTube. People promoting becoming degen or buying 100x coins. That's what gives clicks, but that's not what's going to bring you forward. I refuse to take money from centralized exchanges. I refuse to take money from crypto projects. I refuse to pump and dump a coin and filling up my pockets in the background. I don't do any of this. Instead, I share my knowledge in the form of tutorials in the premium membership. So that's content that won't do well on YouTube, but that builds up skill over time. You can also directly contact me over there. You can directly pick my brain. Feel free to check it out. TheBitcoinStrategy.com is the link. Have a look at this. The blue line is how much Bitcoin is in the hands of long-term holders. This tends to go down as Bitcoin rises very hard. It tends to go up as Bitcoin depresses and the long-term holders dollar cost average in. Right now, we are very close to all-time highs here. This is healthy. Whenever this was high, this is good for the price. Bitcoin isn't as liquid. We can also have a look at the short-term holders. So that's in red. Whenever this is high, we tend to peak in the price, right? A lot of Bitcoin is held simply just by short-term holders that recently joined the whole party. So you don't want to see this red line being high, but it was high when Bitcoin was at around 60 to 70K. Now it's very, very low. This is bullish. And so again, it appears that a lot of the weak performance of Bitcoin is due to profit taking by GBTC investors. Because have a look at this. This is the futures and options market. And the exposure to those instruments went down recently. This was mainly people that speculated on the Bitcoin ETF approval that now came and saw those people exit the market again. Have a look at this. This is the annualized perpetual futures funding rate. It spiked up just before the approval and then went down. People are still speculating on rising prices, but the extent to which they do this is way, way lower. Now, all of this is very encouraging, especially considering that the long-term holders are pretty deep in profit and they're still not selling. So here we've got the long-term holder net unrealized profit and loss. We can only get this kind of data because we are on the blockchain and we can see every single transaction. And so far, the long-term holders aren't selling. But of course, we could see some potential sideways trading action because have a look at the recovery in 2019, right? We had the 2018 crash where Bitcoin went from 20K to 3.5K. The miners capitulated over here, a run from 3.5 to more than 10K to then again see a retracement to 5K. So yes, there is a possibility that accumulation won't be as quick now and that we have to be somewhat patient. But that's okay, right? We are Bitcoin investors. We don't speculate with Bitcoin. We simply just buy in for the long term, similar to contributing to a mortgage for a house, right? Time horizon matters in investing. And so here's the realized profit, this time in US dollars and this time for all investors. And whenever this spikes high, things can for a while at least go sideways. And we are nowhere near the mania levels of the beginning of 2021, but we are elevated. We are not at zero anymore. If you're following this channel for a while, you know that I backtested moving averages. In red, we've got the best exponential moving average. In turquoise, we've got the best simple moving average. As long as we are above both of those moving averages, things tend to be bullish. I am still very heavily exposed to Bitcoin and I continue to buy every month. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. There's also a free Telegram. Link is down below.